So schools and science is not only from the West. Every culture, every people, from Egypt in Africa to India to China to Greece to our modern scientific time, everyone had a contribution in science at some point in human history. Az-Zahrawi, also known in Latin as Abul Qasis, was a physician, a surgeon, and a chemist from Al-Andalusia in Spain. He is considered to be the greatest surgery doctor in the Middle Ages. Many Muslim countries spend, on average, less than half of 1% of their GDP on research and development R&D. Less than half of 1% of their GDP on R&D. And that is very, very low compared to the rest of the developed world, which spend at least on average 5% of their GDP on research and development.
Now, to understand this case study, I recommend everyone to take this certificate, the Google Data Analytics Certificate Program. I already took the certificate and I passed it. That's why I'm presenting this case study. And I think everyone should take it. It's a very good one and very easy to follow for beginners and advanced level. Now, if you are not technical, for me, I have an engineering background, so it was very easy for me. But for you, if you're not too technical with maths and numbers, I will recommend that you find a friend that can help you out while you're taking the certificate.
Next question. Why does the American flag has 13 stripes? And the correct answer is because the stripes represent the 13 original states. The preamble of the US Constitution stipulates that, quote, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." We can live without electricity, but we cannot live without water. Water is life itself. The mushroom-shaped concrete water tower in Helsinki, Finland was built in the 1970s. It is 52 meters high or 171 feet high and can hold around 12,000 cubic meters or 420,000 cubic feet of water. Water towers are common in most places around the world, and especially in Asia and in Africa. Water towers are often regarded as monuments of civil engineering. And also the role of Africa in the making, in this project, because as you know, the United States have very few minerals of uranium, and the US had to secure a supply chain from Africa, especially from the Congo, to have a stockpile. One of the best resources I can recommend is the Johns Hopkins COVID-19 Research Center. So you just type Johns Hopkins COVID-19 on Google, and you can go and go to their website. She's here, Johns Hopkins University and Medicine Coronavirus Resource Center. So this website is a very good dashboard where you can see all the data about COVID-19. How can you prep yourself for 26 miles? Like, does it take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? So let's yeah.
Sure. So the training plan, there are individuals that will do a couch to marathon plan, right? You don't have to have run for years to accomplish a marathon. And you can do a marathon in a variety of ways that you want to complete that marathon, right? Maybe you just want to finish it. Maybe you want to finish within a certain time. So all of that will really dictate what kind of training you put into it in preparation. Because I had been running pretty regularly, I then worked in a 4-month or 16-week training plan that, increased my mileage, but also worked in speed work because I did have a goal of wanting to requalify for Boston at Boston.
About running and weight loss, is that any correlation between running and losing weight, or is hard to do?
It certainly, and that was part of why I had gotten back into running. I wasn't happy with, where I was from a weight standpoint, and it was one of the quickest ways to achieve what I wanted to.
How people can make money online these days, and how can you separate from the good stuff and from all the bad stuff, all the scammers, all these people trying to take advantage of normal citizens? So how, because sometimes when you're online, it looks like a jungle. It's like overwhelming. You don't know what is true, what is not true, who can you trust. So how can you make money online and at the same time you can avoid those bad people?
Well, scam is a little bit in the eye of the beholder. I've done a lot of different programs and signed up for a lot of different things, and it's true, a lot of it didn't work, but it's not that it didn't work, it's that yes.
What does Earth look like? Based on the description of nasa.gov, from space, Earth looks like a blue marble with white swirls and areas of brown, yellow, green, and white. The blue is water, which covers about 71% of Earth's surface. The white swirls are clouds. The areas of brown, yellow, and green are land. And the areas of white are ice and snow. Many ancient cultures subscribed to a flat Earth cosmography, including Greece, until the classical period of 323 BC, the Bronze Age and Iron Age civilizations of the Near East until the Hellenistic period of 31 BC, India until the Gupta period, and China until the 17th century. Now, how do we know that our planet Earth is round? Humans have known that Earth is round for more than 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks measured shadows during summer solstice and also calculated Earth's circumference. They used positions of stars and constellations to estimate distances on Earth. They could even see the planet's round shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse. We can still see this in our time. You definitely, you recommend LLC, for people to get started, right? Instead of
Yes.
the sole proprietor.
Yes. So typically we recommend LLCs rather than sole proprietorships. They're the next level above sole proprietorships. LLCs, like you mentioned, are very popular in the United States, and a lot of companies use this because it's what we call a hybrid. So it gives you a lot of protection of the corporation, which I'll talk about soon, but it also gives you the easiness in terms of structure, almost like a sole proprietorship.
What is data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and how do you see the future on these fields in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say something that's already in motion and happening is that machine learning and data science are becoming more separate fields. Certainly when I was entering the field, there was a lot more overlap. So now you tend to have fields that people tend to call data science that's more like data analytics, doing sort of custom ETL or extract, transform, load data pipelines where there's a lot of specialized processing. And then the machine learning side, you see more machine learning engineering roles, more ML ops roles. So for deploying things to production and then monitoring them once they're in production and making sure they still work and everything is happening more or less the way that you expect.
So why is open data important? Open data is important because the world has grown increasingly data-driven. And if there are restrictions on the access and use of data, the idea of data-driven business and governance will not be materialized. While there are plenty of data sets published by numerous agencies every year, very few data sets become recognized and established. The reason why very few such data sets sustain as useful resource is that it is very challenging to develop, manage, and provide data in a way that people can find it easy to use. So tell me more about your methodology of teaching French using music and songs.
Well, thanks for that question. It was my idea was the purpose was for the people to learn in an easy way, very simple way, right?
Right.
So right. The city was is it's still present tense, right? The city is to help families to go home and still listening to what they are learning during class. And the book is for them to know the translations of what they are learning in French.
Right. How social justice issues has evolved in America and in general in a global spirit. What advice can you give to people around the world about social justice issues?
Well, because social justice is universal justice and the highest expression of our freedom, from the very foundation of our nation, there was a desire to establish a country that is principled upon the whole concept of freedom. Okay. So with that impartation and the embedded fabric of our Constitution that is espousing the very ideas of freedom articulated and manifested in our policies, in our laws. And for that very reason, social justice is infused in the fabric of this nation. Over the decades, we've seen the focal point and those vying for justice that may have waxed and waned and changed. But what we have seen recently is a universality of common humanity.
And still, some disadvantages remain and explain why people are so reticent to embrace cloud gaming as a whole. First, the need for a good and high-speed internet connection with no chances of going down. And if the internet goes down, then in that case, all unsaved data will be potentially lost for the player. Our best advice for you is to select a few money makers where you can say, oh, I can do that, and then start them right now while you have a good momentum. So what is 0 raised to the power of 0? Well, it depends. Often 1 is the best answer. But when dealing with limits, undefined or indeterminate form can be most sensible to keep in mind. So depending on the type of math you're doing, definition and conventions can change.